Welcome back, everyone, to another episode of Nick Cage Fight Podcast, where this week we're doing our podcast version of 9/11 by reviewing the movie 211. I'm one of your hosts, Josh, joined by my co-host who said I shouldn't do that as the opening joke, Rich and Ryan. How are we both today?
This movie was my Kent State Massacre.
Okay.
I watched this movie and immediately wanted to change Nick Cage Fight to a Vanderpump Rules podcast. So, Josh, where do you fall on the Tom Sandoval drama?
I honestly don't know what you're talking about.
Ryan, do you think that Ariana should have left Tom?
What are those words? I understand all of those words individually, but in that concert of language, I
know too much about Vanderpump Rules and about all of the drama. It's like internet drama, but worse. It's like the Illuminati shit, but
we're gonna counterbalance that with a movie that has very little drama. It's supposed to be dramatic, but all of it falls short.
It barely has honestly, a plot.
I'm not gonna lie. So one of my like guilty pleasures when it comes to films in general is I love your generic store brand action films. I've watched most of it. If you got one guy who's been in a couple of action films and he's the only recognizable star in your movie, I've seen it.
Have you seen the Mechanic movies?
Yes.
With Jason Statham?
Yes.
Man, yeah. First one sucked shit, but that second one had a good kill in it.
What was he was in another one that was like, was it like Man of Vengeance or
Man of Wrath.
Man of Wrath.
That's a Guy Ritchie joint. I actually keep meaning to watch that one because I like Guy Ritchie generally.
Yeah, it was entertaining.
I bet.
But here's the thing, right? So like all of those action movies with the interchangeable titles, it doesn't matter, but they all have like this shtick, and it's formulaic and it's easy to stick the landing. I will watch it while I'm putting together Legos or cleaning the house or playing a game, and I love the shit out of them. This one missed all of the marks for me.
Oh yeah.
I don't think it's trying to be an action movie. It's trying to be like a crime thriller, and it does that so poorly that it gets relegated to being an action flick, and it doesn't do that well either.
Well, no, like a lot. So again, just because I have a fair amount of experience with films like these, a lot of action movies have those like crime elements to it, right? So like when you're talking about the more intricate plots, you're talking about like Inside Man, right?
Yes, yeah.
It's
a great example.
Crime film with a lot of action elements to it. But you get further away from that sort of convoluted plot line to a more generic crime movie. But even then, it has some shtick, some scheme that makes sense in general. It seems like a at least coherently put together plan, and then everything goes bad. That's where the action comes in, right? This sets up all of that shit and pays off none of it, and I'm super excited. So let's dive
Does it actually set anything up? I don't remember any
tries.
Like heist planning. I don't remember them actually having a plan other than hold some hostages and get out.
No, it literally does try. It sets up all of the elements, and then
the characters say that those elements are set up, but I am not convinced.
There's supposed to be a reveal, but this is the whole thing where it's like the magician is like, and when I remove the curtain, I will have disappeared, and he drops the curtain and he's dead of a heart attack behind the curtain. That's this movie is that trick. So
this movie is. They just flubbed The Prestige.
Yeah. We just see the crushed bird in a collapsed cage. That's just ruining the magic for children. In this case, adult children, but still, it's still tragic.
It's a bad street magician who got the linking ring stuck in his face piercings.
Yes, a very apt analogy. But let's give it the proper Cage Fight podcast treatment. So this movie is 211, and I'm calling it 211 because the name of the movie is about the police radio call signifier for a bank robbery.
That's the call number for California for a bank robbery. This movie's set in Massachusetts. That is not the call number for a robbery in Massachusetts.
That's even fucking better.
Yep.
That's even better.
I love it. You know what? I love this movie. Fuck it. I love this movie.
It's just a series of missteps. It's a college project movie.
Yes.
Um,
That's exactly the vibe I got. Like somebody had parents that had money and they're going to film school and they didn't have the budget that they wanted. So, they asked their parents when they were on their snowboarding trip if they could borrow a couple thousand.
It's Friday of college film student projects. You used all your birthday cash and you made this film, and it's fine. But I want to specify, I'm calling it 211. The title is, it's just 211 if you're trying to find it, listener. And again, if you want just something that you can put on and have no respect for, and it doesn't matter if you pay attention to, this is a great fucking movie for that. I'm not gonna lie.
This is a good movie for watching, just going like, huh?
Yeah. If honestly, this movie is best viewed if you're just looking up once every 15 minutes from your phone, scrolling some app and just being like, huh.
It was so hard not to just pick up Tears of the Kingdom throughout this entire movie. I knew I had
you would
to
have
pay
had a better
attention.
time.
I
You
know I
honestly would have had a better time if the story was just sort of disjointed and you got a couple of scenes, because the scenes worked fine individually. They're just put together like just a
Some of the
crooked
scenes
puzzle.
were cool. Like the opening scene
It was fine.
pretty cool. The scene where fat emo hair just sniping people, pretty cool.
He doesn't hit. He only hits like one dude though.
But it's a cool looking gun, and he's doing cool guy things.
And they had the
that is how I referenced him the entire, because I couldn't remember names. Obviously,
I mean, I knew that was Nick Cage's son the second I saw him.
Yeah. I was like, oh, that's fat emo hair.
All right, so if you're a fan of the pod, if we're going on this long before I even do my regular intro to the film, it's gonna be entertaining if nothing else, but it's a bad movie. So spoiler alerts on that one. But like I said, the film is 211. It's a 2018 release, rated R. For the violence, I'm assuming there's nothing else in it that really.
I think they say fuck a few times, but
I think
there
might be some mild profanity, and there is like a half gallon of fake blood.
Yeah.
There's no reason why this thing was not rated PG-13.
And it clocks in at a real slim hour and 26 minutes.
It
I know
really
why they
felt
didn't-
longer.
I know why it's not PG-13, because uncles and grandpas wouldn't watch it if they thought it was the pussy rating.
True. This movie felt, I saw it and I saw 87 minutes and I was like, oh, fuck yeah, great. It felt like 2 hours. This feels like a 2-hour movie.
I was bored to death the entire time.
All right. Let's get into housekeeping to try and figure out where things went wrong. Okay.
It was the start of the movie. That's where things went wrong.
Yeah. Let's start with the director. The director is York Alec Shackleton, which sounds like a name they made up on Chapo to like clown on a silver spoon
it sounds
guy
like a
California.
Sybil alias.
It does. Well, his was Rusty Shackelford.
Rusty Shackelford, yeah.
Real King of the Hill heads will know, but yeah, York Alec Shackleton was the director. He directed a couple of other films, including Kush, 1 out of 7, Pretty Perfect, and Disturbing the Peace. None of which I have any familiarity with.
I've never heard of any of these fucking movies.
Well, funny enough, he's also one of the writers of this film, and he's written basically almost everything he's directed. So he wrote 1 out of 7, Pretty Perfect, Roommate Wanted, Las Paraditas, which I think he also directed.
I think I might have. No, I don't recognize this. Never mind.
Wait, does 1 out of 7, does that have anything to do with 1 in a million? Real Axel Rose heads will get that one. Also, Nick Cage fight heads, because we referenced that.
So he had a co-writer on this project, John Rebus, whose CV, when it comes to screenwriting, is just this movie.
When it comes to everything, he has not done a thing in the industry.
It didn't completely click that his name was John Rebus. Do you think he wrote this screenplay in little pictograms?
I quit. I quit the podcast.
So yeah, that's not a promising start. But again, here on this podcast, we give every Nick Cage film the same treatment, because you never know when you're gonna find some just fucking gold.
You never
have
know
been
when you're
walking
going to
by.
find a Between Worlds
Correct. 100%.
or
The
a kill
shining
chain.
star of the films that we've reviewed thus far. One of those things where you're like, nobody's seen this, and everybody should be forced to watch this in re-education camps.
Or hell, even the season of The Witch, I would have been fine with.
Yeah,
Season of
that
which-
movie was good.
That movie
Fucking
was
Drive
good.
Angry. I mean, these are things that I had not had anywhere on my radar at the time, and turned out to be very worthwhile movies to watch.
Yeah,
So
we've come across, things we were just like, oh, this is going to be shit. And if guys that just been texting each other like, guys, did this movie fucking rule?
yeah,
Yeah, it did.
fucking Kill Chain. Anyway,
Fucking love Kill Chain.
I
Love
know you
Kill
do.
Chain so
Yeah.
fucking much. I'm gonna watch Kill Chain tonight, actually.
I brought it up just for you, Rich. I
There
know
are
that
worse
was one
ways
of
to
your
spend an
favorite
evening,
diamonds
I'll
in
tell
the
you
rough.
that much.
Yeah, because you know what? I need a palate cleanser after this. I think Kill Chain might be that palate cleanser.
I'm gonna get back. I'm marathoning all of the Lupin the Third movies, so
Nice.
I gotta watch some very charming thief shit instead.
I noticed that you were watching that after we talked about Goemon's blood spray on one of the episodes.
I ordered that on Blu-ray because my buddy hadn't seen it and I couldn't find a download of it.
Oh, I have it. I have it on my my fucking Amazon library. But yeah, no, worth the watch.
Definitely, it plays a lot better the second time when you know he's gonna get cut like prosciutto.
Yeah, man, that's one of the most brutal scenes in an anime that I've seen. All right, so moving on to the cast now, we got a weird lineup here, right? So top of the hour every hour, Nick Cage is Mike Chandler. I'm gonna call him Cage all movie because I think they don't use his name for the entire first like 3/4 of the film, and then in the last 25% of the film they use his name like excessively.
I think they realized that, and that's why they were just like Chandler.
Everybody calls him Chandler in like the last 20 minutes of the film and never anywhere else in it.
And like I had no idea that these thieves had names until 5 minutes ago when I pulled up the IMDb.
No, I referred to him. I had nicknames for all the special forces dudes.
Oh yeah. Okay, so we'll get to that when we get to that then.
Yeah. So next up we have Sophie Skelton as Lisa McAvoy, which is just Cage's daughter in my notes. She's done a fair bit of television, and then she was in films such as Another Mother's Son, Day of the Dead Bloodline.
That one sucks.
And Stalker. I watched Day of the Dead Bloodline. It was really bad.
It's so bad. Any like of the Dead movie that isn't explicitly associated with George Romero or that guy who had the rights to Night of the Living Dead and went on to make Return of the Living Dead, garbage.
Ooh,
all of them.
You see what her upcoming is though, don't you?
No, I didn't look at that.
Yo, Castlevania.
Wait, the
Like
the Netflix animated one?
Yeah.
Oh, she does
shit.
a voice?
Yeah, she's gonna be Julia Belmont.
Oh, cool.
She'll do fine as that. She wasn't
Yeah.
bad in this movie.
Oh, I thought she was horrendous in this movie, but I just put that in, voice acting and acting are two very different skills.
Yeah, I didn't know they
Maybe
were making
she'll-
more Castlevania. I'm stoked now.
Maybe she'll be a good voice actress. I don't know.
So we might as well address it real quick. I don't think the acting was particularly bad in this movie. The writing was fucking horrendous.
Hard agree on the writing, but I think that Nick Cage really phoned it in. I thought everybody sucked. Like I said, you have the guy who
I think we can actually pass the buck from the actors straight up to the director.
I agree. Also, the material they were working with, everybody tried with the elements, but they were acting schlock scenes. That's what it came down to.
Yeah.
I think all of the talent really tried to work with some real dog shit scenarios.
There's some people though that you could tell just kind of by the end stopped caring. Well, I'm sure it's going to be the next person you talk about. So,
well, all right. So next up we have Michael Rainey Jr. as Kenny Rastel,
who
who
just
was
stopped giving a shit after the first 45 minutes.
Justifiable.
You think Kenny Kenny wasn't in a lot after a certain point in the film, but he was in The Butler, he was in Orange is the New Black, he was in Barbershop The Next Cut, He was an amateur, and then he was both in, and I'm shouting this out specifically to my younger brother who loved this show. I haven't watched it yet, but it's on my list. He was in Power and Power Book 2 Ghost, which I think was a Showtime
Yeah,
series.
Power was a Showtime series. Yeah.
Okay. So yeah, so he was in the original series and the spin-off series. I'm assuming that's what the second one is. Next up, we have Dwayne Cameron as Steve McAvoy, who is in Disturbing the Peace, Desired, Broken Hallelujah. I just picked the coolest sounding names of the films he's worked on because I didn't recognize any of them.
Again,
He's
this
apparently from New
character,
Zealand. That's all I know about him.
this
Okay.
character, as the writers were writing, they were just like, "Yo, it'd be so sick if we got John Cena for this role," and then they didn't get John Cena, and they forgot to rewrite the part.
Cena would have been too big for this role. I do think your idea has merit here, but John Cena is too big for the role. He has to be like he's baby cop to Cage's daddy cop.
Yeah, but also I think that these writers had delusions of grandeur.
Yes, true.
So, like, I think just because
If they got John Cena, they would have put Cage in a goose suit. They would have goosed him up a little bit.
just watching everything, like watching how this guy moves, how they're directing him, I'm like, this is John Cena.
That's fair. I'm not contesting that.
Especially like pre-Peacemaker John Cena, like when he was still kind of looked at as like clean cut, like military guy. Like now he's kind of like a star.
They needed a square jaw white guy, look nice, clean shaven.
Yeah.
100%. Next up, we actually have another Cage in the Cage fight.
Twice the Cage.
Weston Cage as Luke, whose name is never used in the film. So
Is there
far
a
as I am
single
aware.
scene where they're both on screen at the same time?
I don't think so.
No, there's
me
not.
neither.
There absolutely is not a scene where they had to be on the set the same day.
Dope.
Period.
Okay, so what was
You
your
think Nick Cage
nickname?
hates his son?
No, I don't think so. But again, this is a little odd, right?
Yeah, it's a little
Yeah.
weird.
What was your nickname for this one?
Emo Special Forces.
We have
Okay.
Gerard way at home.
I called him Fat Emo Hair. And now listen, Wes, if you're listening to this, I don't think you're fat. I think that
the hair is not flattering.
the
That's
hair
what
was
I
not, it
think.
was more of a bowl cut, and also the body armor you were wearing was too chunky for you.
No, he was a thick king. I think he looked good in it, but the hair was not.
Well,
flattering.
yeah, when I saw the hair, because I do know that he's been in like numerous like metal and like
Yeah,
emo
he
core
rocks
bands.
longer hair, right? He rocks like
I
Yeah.
think so, yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, I mean the dude plays guitar in like multiple emo bands, so
Shout
And
out
when I
to
say-
Drive Angry, the song that he played for the film Drive Angry.
yeah.
Fuck yeah, man. No, just to clear the air here. We have no problem with Weston Cage. When we're finished with his dad, we're gonna do
We're going to do
Cage
Weston
Fight
Cage
Podcast
Fight.
Junior.
I mean, he does
We cover his
have.
career.
Wait, does Nick Cage have any daughters that act? That way we could do a Cage Fight for her.
Cage Fight for her. That's a good one. I like that one. We'll have to look into that.
Oh shit! Like, I mean, he has acting credits. Like,
Yeah.
we can do. He has.
I'm in
15
the wait.
He has 15 and 9 up. He has 9 upcoming projects.
Oh shit,
Wait.
yeah.
I am in the middle of doing his housekeeping. He was in
My bad.
Lord of War, Raven, Rage, Circus Kane, Get Gone, Fear and Loathing in Aspen, and that's where I dropped out of writing down names.
But he is also now going as a Weston Cage Coppola, so he's trying to get that Coppola money.
Good for
Good for
fucking
him. If I were born as a Coppola, you would not. I would change my name to Coppola.
He's got to bring back honor to the Coppola name. Francis Ford has not been doing honorable movies for a while now, and Sophia has not made a good movie since, what was that Lost in Translation was the last good one she did?
I don't even remember. Let me take a look at her IMDb.
It's
real
either
quick.
that or Virgin Suicide, because those are the two I like.
Yeah, if we ever do a deep dive podcast on just the family in general, it's just gonna have to be called Coppola and Seethe.
Director. Sorry, I'm deep diving right now.
No. I'm gonna continue with housekeeping while you do that.
Oh, she directed A Very Murray Christmas, which is the Bill Murray Christmas special, which I
Oh,
actually
okay.
kind of
Okay.
liked.
I think we did talk about that last time she came up in conversation.
Yeah, but outside of that, she really hasn't done anything good since Lost in Translation. She did the weird Marie Antoinette movie.
Yeah, I remember.
Oh, and she
that.
did some music videos for bands I like the Flaming Lips.
So next up we have, I'm actually not even entirely sure. I do housekeeping before I watch the films, just as a heads up, and it's tough to kind of peg how important a character is going to be. But we have Corey Hardrick as Hanson, who I'm fairly certain is a police officer that has slightly more screen time because he volunteers to help Nick Cage at a specific point in the film.
Oh, yeah, that dude. Yeah.
Yeah. But he was in November Criminals, All Eyes on Me, eyes spelled with a Z, Brotherly Love, and American Sniper. So there you go. Next up,
yeah, he was the fake baby in American Sniper, right?
I've never seen
I have
American
no
Sniper.
context for that.
I've never seen American Sniper, but there's a scene that's like, it's just YouTube it. It's 10 seconds long, but it's like super dramatic. It's Bradley Cooper looking dead at the camera, like looking serious and dead-eyed, and she like holding a baby, and the baby's clearly plastic.
I would prefer a plastic baby to the CGI monstrosity in the Twilight series that my fiance made me watch. That was horrified. Like Final Cut, like they had time. I watched like a.
I'm watching Ryan watch this scene. he's melting into his chair.
That was a plastic ass baby.
Hey, you know what else is made of plastic?
Goods and services.
Some goods and
Credit
services.
cards.
We're not even out of housekeeping, but listen to these ads.
God,
Jesus
that's
Christ.
a shit show.
Okay, we've taken our time. Hopefully, we are back on track. I don't see us getting there, but
No.
we're gonna try.
lightning round the rest of housekeeping. I've got to.
No,
wrangle...
you say that now. We're going to spend 20 more minutes on it.
No. I've got to wrangle some organization to this operation. So next up, we got Ori Pfeffer.
Pfeiffer is how I would assume you pronounce that.
Pfeffer. You think Pfeiffer?
I have known somebody with the last name Pfeiffer who spelled it like that.
That's Pfeffer.
All right, whatever. I don't give a shit.
We'll have him on next week's pod. I'm gonna call him up as Trey, again, another character that is never called that in the film. He was in Hacksaw Ridge, Jolt, Snowland, Hitman's Bodyguard, and Angel Has Fallen. Actually, reviewing that, I don't think we could get him on the pod. But you know what? He reminded me of the guy whose name I can't remember, so I'm going to stall until I can bring up something I know he's been in. But there's a lot of Kmart brand people in this. He reminds me of a Kmart brand, Ralph Ineson, who is from The Witch and Game of Thrones, and plays a very prominent voice role in the popular game Diablo 4. Anyway, after him we have Mark Bassnight as police chief, who is in Chuck, Loving Pablo, The Hurricane Heist, the Hellboy 2019 Hellboy, and Angel Has Fallen as well. There's a lot of overlapping circles as far as work is concerned, so I think casting was mostly like, do you know somebody who could play this? And you're like, oh yeah, I acted with this dude in this film. And last up I have Amanda Cerny as Sarah, who is in Rim of the World, Public Disturbance, Deported, The Babysitter Killer Queen, and iCarly. And I don't remember who the fuck Sarah is in this film.
I believe she's the female cop. The one who says, like, oh, you can't hit anything with your gun.
Okay. That makes total sense.
Also, there's one reason why I know who this is. So she was in an uncredited scene in Creed 2. And she was in another deleted scene that actually a guy that I used to work with, like selling fucking furniture, he was in Creed 2 because he was an actor like pre-COVID, and then like COVID happened. Yeah, shout out to Zach Bayer if you want to look that up on IMDb, because he's been in some stuff. He did do Brownface, I will say that.
Ooh,
I made fun of him for that.
Yeah, it's not ideal. We have some honorable mentions real quick. We have Alexandra Danu, who plays Interpol agent Rossi, who was also in Bullethead, by the way, along with the gentleman who played Randy, the bank manager, who was played by Velazar Benev. So 2 actors from a movie that I actually liked, which is pretty interesting. And last up, we have to shout out actor.
Okay, I'll shout out the movies for Velazar. I got 3 for you.
Go for it.
Is Man with the Screaming Brain and Alien Apocalypse, 2 sci-fi original features starring Bruce Campbell. And I just like the name of this one, so I'm going to shout it out. Mansquito.
Man has a lot of creature features in his list. If creature features are your thing, check out that actor. He's in both Octopus and Octopus 2. So,
and Lake Placid 3. I didn't even know they made 3 of those.
Lake Placid 3, Python 2, and then Python versus Boa. There's a lot of creature features in this man's CV.
And I'm gonna try and find and watch Mansquito tonight.
And last up, just because we had to do a deep dive into this character for very specific reasons, as far as dissecting the plot of this film and what the meaning they were trying to convey with certain scenes, Eric Ali, who plays a drug addict in the film.
We were very confused.
We were very confused, but he was also an axe of vengeance.
Not spelled like an axe, like you're hacking at something, right?
No, axe like
That's
actions.
less cool. That's so much less cool.
Yeah, Banderas was in it, and Carl Urban was in it, and that's about it from the people I recognize.
Look,
oh shit, fucking Robert Forster was in this.
Oh, weird. Okay, I'm intrigued now.
Yeah, same. I might have to check out Acts of Vengeance.
Robert Forrester, famously from Twin Peaks.
There you go.
And there is your once per episode David Lynch reference.
We gotta try and get it in there.
I gotta get it in there.
By the way, Ryan, I love that you sent me that the picture of the tweet that it was like David Lynch is only successful because he has a full head of hair.
Mm-hmm.
And somebody responded with if Blue Velvet was made by a bald man, they would put him in prison.
Yes. Yeah. That was very good.
I saw the original and didn't bother sending it to anybody. I missed that follow-up, so that was a solid catch. All right. Let's get into the fucking movie as it is to set the stage, because there's a lot of jumping back and forth in this movie. Now, we've covered movies where that actually makes sense, and there's a reason this movie did it, because they thought it was cool in other movies that they've seen. But we're essentially following the threads of a couple of different groups of individuals. Primary actors, we got Nick Cage, who is a policeman close to retirement. We have his son-in-law, who is a young but not rookie cop, who's married to his daughter, who's mad at him because he basically ignored her mother, his wife, dying of cancer because he couldn't deal with it because he's bad with emotions. Then we have a group
he's a
of
man who's a cop.
Yeah. Then we've got a group of special forces dudes who are up to bad shit. We have an Interpol agent who is a Kmart version of Sofia Vergara. We shouted out the actress. I don't feel bad about saying that, but that's clearly what they were going for. And then we have a young troubled teen, Kenny, and his mother, who works at a hospital. So we got a lot of threads, and we're going to follow them all. So to start the whole thing off, we start in, of all places, regarding a crime film that takes place in, where did you say, Ryan?
Massachusetts.
Yeah.
Yep. So we start at the logical place, Afghanistan.
Well, I mean, we already made the 9/11 reference, so.
Correct. But also not where that likely originated. Anyway, there's a man in glasses who watches as a woman is executing bank transfers. In fact, we open up on a scene of fingers on a keyboard.
You started with executing, and I was like, did I miss something?
No, sorry. But this was my first laugh of the film, because they're doing the thing that movies and TVs have done since computers have been a thing, where somebody is rapidly typing on a keyboard with a screen that is requiring zero typing to happen. But even the B-roll footage that they're using for this is lazy, because the fingers aren't even hitting keys most of the time.
Well,
I don't know if
hacking.
you guys caught that.
Also, that fucking program doesn't make any sense because it's just a dollar amount that's going up, up, up. Like, that's not how transferring money works, movie.
9 times out of 10, she's typing and there's like a loading bar, like transaction 80% complete, and she's typing fucking furiously.
Yeah.
And it's like one of those green arrow, like those green loading bars that like look like it's from 1997. I thought this was a flashback.
Yeah, I don't know why they kept doing a close up on the fingers typing, because again, she's not even hitting keys half the time.
She's hacking it.
Yeah.
And she's doing some shadow work. That's how hacking works, right? I'm not a smart person.
But she informs the man it's done. The money is secure. And he replies, good. We can go home now. So they exit this weird, they're just like in a fucking like forest watch tower, but in the middle of the desert. And so they exit it, and there's like a bunch of like Escalades lined up with real generic looking local mercenaries. And as they go to get into an SUV, the back car in their line gets blown up with a fucking rocket. There's a group of counter mercenaries like on the ridge that just light these dudes up. Funny thing to me is like one of the mercenaries defending the convoy of vehicles like opens the car door, gets behind it, and a bullet hits the glass and it just cracks the glass. Is like bulletproof glass. And then for some inexplicable reason, the next car in line, a mercenary tries the same thing and gets shot right through the fucking glass. So they only had one bulletproof vehicle. I guess.
A lot of things don't make sense.
But I love that they do it in a way that explicitly calls attention to it instead of just trying to gloss over it, like doing quick cuts or putting that scene later in the chaos of what's happening. They do it one after another in this one. But the glasses guy and the hacker lady get in the car, tell the dude to drive. He drives and then inexplicably veers into the scoop of a construction vehicle that's also moving.
Had so much time to dodge it.
But isn't piloted by like the special forces guys killing him. Like some guy was just trying to do a construction job and a gunfight broke out and he was like, look, man, I'm on the clock. I got to get this shit done. So he drives directly into the scoop, killing him, injuring glasses guy and the lady in the car crash. The lady gets out and starts to run, gets shot in the back by one of the special forces dudes with a pistol. And then basically the special forces guys surround glasses guy. I thought they were setting up for a classic trope because glasses guy's glasses fall off as he's scrambling out of the vehicle. And he goes to grab them. And instead of stepping on the glasses, the special forces guy steps on his hand and then takes his foot away so glasses guy can put on his glasses. They even explicitly
But then he kicks him in the glasses.
They even do a specific shot from the glasses guy's point of view when he doesn't have his glasses on and he can't make out any of the features of the mercenary. That's so weird.
Yeah. Listen,
decisions made.
There is like we're about to talk about one of the weirdest decisions this movie made, like within the first 5 minutes.
It's true. The movie starts out exactly as it means to continue. But basically, this is the setup for the entire plot. The special forces guys, glasses guy, when he sees who they are, he's like, oh, you guys are alive? And the special forces guys are like, yeah, you thought you could get away with it. You tried to kill us. We told you, never use the local help. So now you should have just paid us, but now we're going to take your money. And glasses guys like, the money's all gone. It's in a bunch of different banks all over the world. And the special forces guys are like, are some of them in the US? And he's like, yeah. And they're like, name one bank in the US that has it. And he's like, no. And they shoot him in the kneecap. And he's like, fine, this bank. And they're like, okay. And he's like, I can help pay you at this point. It's fine. And they're like, nah, and shoot him in the head. And they're like, we're going to do it our way. The hard way. This makes no fucking sense. Flat
Number
out.
One, how do these guys know that he even gave them the right name of the bank?
No fact checking whatsoever. Or even what portion of the money that he stole was in that bank.
They seem to know it's $1 million later.
Later, but again, that's just because they're robbing a fucking bank. It has
Right.
nothing
They
to
could
do
have picked any bank.
with exactly. They could have just gone home without killing this guy and just robbed a regular fucking bank. It's absurd. Anyway,
Yeah, that absolutely no need for that setup. And that
No,
setup
and-
doesn't make any damn sense at all.
the movie doesn't care anyway. So
We're giving this more thought than the filmmakers did.
Absolutely, yes.
I don't even know how this didn't come up at any point in the script review. It's crazy to me. But from here we jump to the next logical place to go in this story about a bank robbery that takes place in Massachusetts, Kabul. There is a lady who looks super suspicious because she's standing out because she has like a whole like red scarf over her head, and nobody else is wearing clothing with colors as vibrant as that. And she's hefting like a big purse, and not even barely concealed inside the purse is some golden statue.
I think I know why she's wearing such a bright red headscarf. It's so the cinematographer knows where to point the camera.
Probably, but they also use this theme immediately after this because
Yeah, with the other important character in the scene. So
some guy grabs her by the arm and is like, the buyer for the golden statue is that one white guy in Kabul, and he's wearing a red scarf too. And he's also standing 20 feet away.
Yeah. I hate this movie. I hate this movie.
So she goes to cross the street, and a Humvee like drives up right as she like exchanges a bag with the Englishman, barely stopping before they hit him. And like an army guy hops out and he's like, "You're under arrest," and just puts her in the back of the car and drives off. The Englishman runs away. And then we learn that she is an agent for Interpol. She was trying to take down like the biggest artifact or art smuggler in wherever the fuck.
now keep in your mind's eye how much money must transfer hands for art theft. And she gets pulled off of this beat to go deal with $1 million bank heist.
Yeah. Well, it's not even that at that point in time. Also, but again, keep in mind the figures because they actually tell us the numbers, but it's like the movie was written by Dr. Evil in that none of the money values make sense. So she gets pulled to the crime scene in Afghanistan, right? And she does like a fully movie magic, like face recognition software on her smartphone on a dead body. And it was like, oh yeah, this lady does fucking money laundering and this, that, and the other. And they're like, oh, okay, she's an associate of Glass's guy. And he was setting up like reconstruction companies in Afghanistan and taking government bids and siphoning money. And they're like, how much money did he siphon? And they're like, it was between 20 and 30 million dollars. So just keep that in mind. 20 and 30 million dollars. And they're like, oh, okay. And Interpol lady is like familiar with the special forces guy, the special forces team or whatever, because they're like, she's like, oh yeah, they killed an Interpol agent in an extraction in Kabul where she just came from at some point in time. That's why they're on I feel like these guys had 3 locations and they just picked the names of the locations from a hat to tie it to an event.
I also feel like the writer didn't understand what people that work for Interpol technically do most of the time, because they don't make like arrests or anything. Interpol
I don't
cannot
know what Interpol does.
They're like the U.S. Marshals. They deal with like transporting people across like country borders and like financial crimes primarily. But like, actually, good Lupin the Third fucking tie-in. They don't understand what Interpol does either, because Zenigata is always trying to arrest Lupin. He works for Interpol. Interpol does not have the right to arrest anyone.
They work in like 190 plus countries, right? But
yeah,
I thought it was mostly like, hey, yeah, no, we had a guy skip bail here after like murdering a college co-ed. Can you check your local databases if they're in like Eastern Europe? And
that is
Interpol's
basically
like, yeah.
it. Yeah, it's like a information sharing community where they work with the local authorities The local authorities are usually the ones that actually do the arrest, but Interpol does not actually make arrests.
So
Like
we
she was
live in
implying.
a world where the fucking Silence of the Lamb extended universe gets Interpol more correct than any other movie universe we've
Yes.
seen.
Ugh.
That's pretty funny. So anyway, Agent Rossi from Interpol is on the case. She's trying to track down these special forces guys. And then we cut to an American high school where a kid is recording himself in the bathroom for the most depressing TikTok you've ever fucking seen. And fuck it, I don't have a good transition. Let's just go into another ad. Here's another ad, probably for TikTok. Watch him before it's banned.
So anyway, the kid's got a phone, and that's his personality trait.
Well, that's the defining personality trait. But he's recording himself in a bathroom, and some other kids come in and start bullying him to the point of this is one of the things that kills me with this movie is it's like all tropes. It's like they Frankenstein's monstered a bunch of tropes to make a movie and didn't put any further thought into the scenes. But we have a bully literally putting a kid's head into a toilet and he's screaming for help. Somebody help me. A teacher walking by hears it and walks into the bathroom at the exact moment that the bullying kid knocks the bully out cold with one punch. It's amazing.
Two things about
fun.
this scene. Thing the first, they're putting his head in a fucking urinal. There's usually not water at the bottom of the urinal.
No, there's not, but it's still degrading.
It still smells like piss.
It's still degrading. It smells like piss and those blueberry hockey pucks they put down there. But also, like, they go on to say that there was no evidence that he was having his head shoved in a toilet. If he actually had his head shoved in the toilet, his head would smell like piss. He could just be like, smell my piss head.
But then when he's talking to the like the principal or fucking whoever, she's like, yeah, we have a zero tolerance thing for bullying. You just have to tell a teacher. Bitch, he's telling you right now. What do you mean you got zero tolerance?
So, all right. So he knocks the kid out and then he just runs. He runs away from school entirely. And then the next scene,
which is the correct choice to make if you're like in one of those schools where they're gonna just fucking expel you for that shit.
Or if you're in school, just run away.
It's absolutely, because they're gonna get the school resource officer to shoot you dead more than likely.
Yeah, taking a break from impregnating one of the seniors.
Yep.
Sorry, that's an actual story from my high school years.
Hey, me too. You think that might establish a pattern of behavior for those dudes?
Maybe. The dude was married too, and then him and his wife got divorced, and he married the senior he got pregnant.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh?
Yeah, it was that was the story.
Huh, good
at the high
times.
school. Anyway, so we cut to the next character introduction, which by the way, the kid being bullied is Kenny, and the next scene introduces Kenny's mom, who's talking to the principal, and the principal is like, yeah, we have a zero tolerance policy for bullying, so he's going to get expelled unless he agrees to do our rehabilitation program, which is a ride along with cops.
I'm sure nothing can go wrong with that.
And Kenny's mom is like, I don't like the idea of my black teenage son riding around in the back of a cop car all day. I'm not down for a scared straight program. And the principal is like, no, it's not like that at all, which is extra hilarious when we get to the scene where Kenny first gets introduced to the cops. Also, I didn't write it down. I fucking should have. But the principal is like, here, when Kenny's mom's like, he's being bullied, nothing's been done about it. And the principal's like, that's crazy, because we have a saying around here, and does some sort of rhyming jingle about telling a teacher if you get bullied. And it was so fucking stupid.
Yeah, I
can't believe I didn't write it down.
It slid off of my brain like butter on a hot pan.
Yeah, that thing I'm talking about, where they're just like, oh, we have like a zero tolerance, and then she gives the rhyme. And it's like he's telling you about the bullying right now.
yeah, you've been fucking informed at this point.
This is literally what is happening.
Insane shit.
But also, they're in Massachusetts. Like, he's there. This is the only black person these kids have seen outside of like Jason Tatum. That one's for all you sports heads out there.
Sport.
So at this point, we cut to introduce the McAvoys, which is Cage's daughter and Cage's son-in-law, and the daughter tells the son-in-law, "I'm pregnant," and he's like, "Oh my God, I love you. That's amazing." And then he's like, "We should name the kid after your father," and she's like, "I have a troubled past with my father," and he's like, "You should get over it." And she's like, "He ignored the fact that my mother had a terminal cancer diagnosis." And son-in-law is like, "He's a cop, he's not good at expressing his emotion." I am barely truncating the dialogue here.
Yeah, no, this is almost verbatim.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, also, sure enough, and this doesn't seem like it'd be something that any HR program would be comfortable with. Cage is the son-in-law's partner on the beat in the police force.
Nick Cage definitely loves that son-in-law more than his daughter.
He does.
100%.
In fact, it's extra funny because we have proof of that character element later in the film.
Doesn't he straight up say my son is dead?
Yes, he does. Yes, he does. So
After he scraped his knee.
He had a boo-boo. He was just worried about his son had a boo-boo.
So Cage picks up his son-in-law. They go to the police station.
And there go our guest stars.
So yeah, no, my in this house, my dogs know when we reference the cops, you yell and run.
Good dogs.
Good dogs. So yeah, so the son-in-law breaks the news that he got Cage's daughter pregnant. And Cage is like, "Oh, congratulations, that's wonderful." And then they show up to the precinct and they're told that they have to do this ride along program. And this is the funniest thing. After the mom's like, "I don't want them in a scared straight program," and the principal's like, "No, it's not like that at all." Fucking son-in-law acts like a complete dick to Kenny when introduced. He's like, "You're here because you fucked up. So, if you don't want your life to go to shit, you better shut up and listen." It's absurd. And it gets even wilder from here. The relationship between Kenny and these two cops doesn't make any fucking sense at any point in this film. But they load up and we get introduced sort of to some ancillary cop characters. There's like a newbie cop and like a badass woman cop who's like clowning on the newbie cop for not being able to shoot straight. And they sort of come into play later, kind of.
There's a very racist line too. As like right before this happens, as Nick Cage, the son-in-law, the black cop, and like another cop are walking in together, and they're all talking about how Nick Cage's daughter is pregnant by son-in-law. And the black cop goes like, "Hey, it could have been my kid." And Nick Cage's like, "That would have sucked." The black cop's like, "Why? Because I'm black?" "No." "Yeah."
I miss that interaction fucking entirely.
Yeah,
that
I
happened.
definitely remember that happening. But
that happened. It's very in the background.
I think it was a little bit different. I think the phrasing, like the phrasing of it, was a little different to actually pass the buck more on Nick Cage, because Nick Cage is like, "It could have been worse. It could have been your kid."
Oh,
and the guy is like, "Because I'm black," and then Nick Cage is like, "No, yeah." It sucks. This movie sucks.
So, all right. So this is the right point to talk about this. This movie seems to want to say something about racism inherent in the criminal justice system in general in this country.
Maybe that's what the writers were thinking. Like, let's make Crash, but with explosions.
It has no idea how to go about this. So,
I mean, yeah, because the director/writer was previously in a job that has a lot of head injury. That dude is too concussed to make a cogent point about racism.
So also we have Nick Cage complaining. He's like, "I'm retiring at the right time." And nowadays you can't do anything as a cop without a camera. in your face, recording your actions for everybody else to judge openly. Like, that sucks. That makes the job suck.
It sucks that I can't just beat people indiscriminately
Yeah.
anymore.
So
remember post 9/11, we could just fuck up brown people for no reason. It was great.
So we get a quick side scene with one of the special forces guys. My nickname for him is Special Forces Lookout Guy, because that's the job he ultimately ends up having. And he's in a cafe. He orders a coffee. He is nice to the waitress, gives her a big tip, and then plants C4 under the table of the cafe before leaving.
Good guy move.
Yeah. Back to the ride along. Kenny's in the back of the cop car. And they get a call explicitly for a white male, mid-30s, basically a petty thievery call, and they show up to a gas station. There is a guy outside the gas station with dreadlocks, long dreadlocks, and a darker complexion. And we had a whole conversation, and we did a deep dive to try and figure this out, because we were like, I don't know if the movie is inadvertently being racist while trying not to be racist, but it turns out the guy's Sicilian. So he's a white guy. It's just very hard to tell from the camera angles they use and what they're doing. And also, he's in trouble for stealing a carton of menthol cigarettes from this gas station, which I have never in my lifetime, maybe some old heads who listen to this podcast can correct me, but cartons of cigarettes have always been behind the counter. Right? Have they not?
Yeah, absolutely. Also, this guy definitely thinks that in this household, Christopher Columbus is a hero.
You mean the dude with dreadlocks?
Yeah, he's Sicilian. Christopher Columbus is a goddamn hero in this house.
I mean, I'm Sicilian. I don't think that dude's a hero.
No, you legally have to think Christopher Columbus is a hero.
No, that dude was a child sex slaver. I'm gonna say no on that.
No, you're not Italian. Then we are revoking your pizza card. You can't have pizza anymore. Manatee.
He did fuck a manatee. That is a fact I know about Christopher Columbus.
Christopher Columbus fucked a manatee. Thought it was a mermaid. He was
Hell like, yeah.
He wrote in a diary. He's like, mermaids are ugly as shit.
That's the most Italian thing he ever did. Was he saw a manatee and said, "Oh, look at that big ass,
mia,
Mamma mia, that is a big ass
mermaid. I'm a fuck a mermaid." End up just doing some bestiality,
casual bestiality,
casual. And anyway, so the funny thing to me is, as soon as the cops get out of the car, fucking Kenny, like a rock star, pulls out his phone and starts recording him.
He is a real one for this.
For real. Also, because these are the worst fucking cops. Like, they get out and they're like, "Hey, come over here." And then both of them pull their guns. This is a dude sitting outside. I've seen it at every fucking Wawa I've gone to for the last 20 years. That person sitting outside asking if you could spare a cigarette with a backpack next to him. That's what's going on. And they immediately pull their guns, not tasers, guns, and level them at this person.
I'm going to kill you, guns, just for the act of existing.
Crazy reaction. So they talk to the shop owner. They hear about the carton of cigarettes. They pull a carton of cigarettes out of this guy's pack and call for another car to come pick them up because they've got a ride along. So at this point, around here, I'm being a little bit looser with this story because it's a bad movie and I don't give a shit. But there's a lot of intercut scenes. We're following the people. I set you guys up with the information you need at the beginning, but somewhere in here we get a cut of the special forces guys, and they're in a warehouse. They're getting ready to rob this bank for the money from this guy who didn't pay them, but they're just robbing everybody's money from the bank. They could have just robbed any fucking bank.
They have a tenuous understanding of how bank works.
They have a tenuous understanding about how getting paid or getting revenge fucking works.
Yeah,
they were obsessed with getting their money and not a dime more and not from anywhere else.
Do you know how many mindless action movies involve disillusioned former military veterans going, "Our skill set is great for robbing banks and the government left us with nothing. Let's just rob banks." And then they just rob banks, but in a competent fashion. These guys are not those
like
guys.
30% of all action movies.
So many,
Probably
so
higher than that.
many of
Like post Gulf War, I remember that there was a ramp up in them as anti-heroes after that point. Prior to that, it's like 1 in 4. Now it's like probably 1 in 3.
Yeah, for real. This is a trope that they've done repeatedly, sometimes very entertainingly and competently.
I mean, look, Dog Day Afternoon.
Yeah,
Great
Yeah.
movie.
I'm telling you, it's ridiculous. But anyway, they're planning. They want you to know they're planning this very carefully. So the special forces guys leave their warehouse. We get another scene in here somewhere of expert crack Interpol agent Rossi going to a gun shop, and she's like kind of flirting with the owner, and then basically drops on him that she knows that he knows the special forces guys, and she knows that he sold them guns that he shouldn't have been selling them.
Not before he brings her over to the gun case full of guns for her.
Yeah.
It's all like pink fucking 9mm.
Yeah, no.
Yeah, it's just pink guns. It's like that's all it is.
It's one like tiny snub nose like 22 and 2 pink skinned 9mm.
Yes,
it's fucking hilarious. And then she's like, "No, I was looking for something more like AR-15s or Benellis or this, that, or basically the gun names that you heard in the John Wick movies, so that you know they're illegal." You know what I mean? Yeah. And he's like, "Oh, we don't sell those." And she's like, "Yeah, do you know this guy?" And he's like, "Nope, never seen him." And she like looks up at the wall, and there's a picture of him with the fucking guy right on the wall.
Well, no, she throws half of the same picture on the counter first,
and then
looks up, and it's the same picture, but with that guy also in it.
I missed that it was the same fucking picture. That's even fucking funnier.
The exact same picture. He's in the same pose. It's hilarious.
How?
It's legitimately the most fucking entertainment I got in this whole movie.
How are you going to be like a black market arms dealer with that kind of OPSEC? That's so bad. Anyway, he gives her an address. He writes it on a piece of paper and crumples it up and tosses it in front of her.
Because that way she'll never be able to read it. Yeah. She'll be like, crap, is that a 2 or a 5? I can't tell because he crumpled the paper.
So the special forces guys set off to the bank. Rossi gets to the warehouse after they left, finds a scrap of packaging that is clearly C4. It's literally C dash, and you can see part of the 4.
Well, they have to let us idiots know what it is.
I don't think C4 is labeled that way in the packaging that they get, but like us fucking idiots watching the screen need to know.
I mean, I don't know. I've never bought C4. I couldn't tell you with certainty.
I would never admit to having bought C4. So, but I'm pretty sure it's not packaged that way.
All right. That's fair.
Oh, and so this is a good note to end on. We get introduced to another character, my favorite character in the entirety of the film, Randy. Randy's at home and he's getting dressed in front of a mirror, and he realizes he's missing his super sweet sweater vest that is going to complete his professional casual look. And so he calls out to his wife, Eleanor, and when he turns around, she's there holding said sweater vest, carefully hung on a hanger, and tells him, why don't you, you could just call out today. And he's like, no. And she's like, you do everything for this job. And he's like, well, when the man calls, you got to answer. And she's like, you know what? It wouldn't hurt you to be more assertive. And he's like, look, listen, I'll tell you what. I'm going to ask. No, I'm going to tell what's her name to close down the bank today. And I'll come home early so we can have our anniversary dinner and then fall asleep on the couch together watching TV. And she's like, that sounds perfect. By the way, I'm detailing this scene because this is the most personality given to any character in the entire film.
I cared about this character.
It's the only story I was invested in. And the way it goes is the only story that was like at least could be considered like a full arc. Like I felt bad, I cared about it. It reminded me of a much better executed film which is going to be controversial as soon as I say it. But if you haven't seen it, Dragged Across Concrete has
I haven't, but that sounds like my kind of trash.
It's, first of all, I'm going to warn you, is an incredibly brutal crime film. It's what this film probably thought it was, but it's not even close. But there is a whole subplot with Jennifer Carpenter, who works at a bank, and there's a whole reason she doesn't want to go to the bank, and then she does, and something really awful happens in one of the most graphic scenes I've ever seen in one of these crime films. It's devastating. Anyway, but that's as close as close as this movie comes to Dragged Across Concrete is Randall the bank manager. And let's if you're familiar with that film, I apologize for spoiling what's going to come next, but good on you for having seen that movie. And that's where we're going to have to cut it. We're setting up. Special forces guys are on their way towards the bank. The cops on the ride along are arresting a dude for stealing something that there's no way he should have been able to steal. Cage's daughter is pregnant, and Kenny's mom works at a hospital. That's really all you need to know going into the next episode. In the meantime, while you're waiting, you can always follow us on social media. We're on Twitter at cagefight_pod. I know we have a Patreon floating around somewhere. What's up with that, Rich?
That is patreon.com/NickCageFight. $3 a month gets you every episode without ads. $10 a month gets you bonus episodes that we will be actually doing at some point. Also, for all you YouTube people, go ahead and comment, subscribe, thumbs up or thumbs down. I don't give a shit. Engagement's engagement, baby.
All attention is good attention,
especially on YouTube. It doesn't fucking matter.
All right.
That's it. That's all I got.
There you go. That's perfect. No, let's wrap it. Let's cut it. Thank you as always for tuning in, and of course, listeners, please remember we appreciate you.